The MCU has been turned upside down, inside backwards, and truly examined by the top executives. In fact, we've even seen some people part ways with the MCU who have been working there for decades. We're going to talk about where we've landed now that the dust has settled a little bit and what the current expectation for releases for Phase 5 are for the remainder of 2023. Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Cosmic Culture, the channel where we talk all things major movie and television news, theories, breakdowns, and much, much more. I'm your host Chris, and today we have a report about what exactly we should expect to remain releasing in 2023. We've heard about several changing dates, like Loki, which recently we talked about here on the channel, how on the official Disney Plus website they changed it from coming summer 2023 to coming soon. We've seen this happen with a lot of projects now, which leaves us wondering what exactly will be releasing during this year. So we'll dive into that report, as well as give you the rest of the big change-up updates, like Victoria Alonso stepping away from her role. If you haven't already, consider subscribing and turning on that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our other major movie and television news updates happening daily here on the channel. You can also follow me on my other socials, Instagram at Chris M. Rosser and Twitter at TheCultureChris. Links to both of those can be found in the description down below. We have a lot of changes. We've been over this. This was talked about first, to my knowledge, by Cosmic Circus. Not too many weeks ago, early February, they were mentioning spring cleaning and how Marvel was moving pretty much everything except for Guardians of the Galaxy, which is still scheduled for May 5th, 2023. And at the time, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which was just about to come out, that release date hadn't changed as well. But following the, we'll call it, lackluster box office report that we got for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, Marvel's re-looking at themselves, they're taking feedback from Phase 4, and they're making changes. First and foremost, we know, coming from the mouth of Bob Iger, the current CEO, who has returned from his retired state to reorganizing and committing himself to helping Disney, and then from Kevin Feige, Marvel Studios' very well-known president, who have said we're going back to quantity over quality. During Phase 4, we had way too many projects coming out all at once, which led to a failure of storytelling, writing, creation, and visual effects, which we're going to talk about the visual effects side of things with Victoria Alonso at the end of the video. So, with that step back, we're going to have a redirection of release dates and frequency of projects. This is more of a similar model to what we saw during Infinity War, which didn't have the Disney Plus projects, which are a little bit more readily available to us, but also had that anticipation, which made the heart grow fonder for new projects. So here's what the new schedule supposedly will look like for 2023. It's not solid, it's not written in stone, and even some of these don't have release dates, more time frames. Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 3, May 5th, 2023. Secret Invasion, June. Loki Season 2, August or September. X-Men 97, September or October. The Marvels, November 10th, 2023, and the Ironheart series is in November or December. So 6 projects remaining in 2023, plus Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, gives us 7 projects, which in my opinion is still far too many. But just for a bit of comparison, we were currently sitting on 9 projects coming out. Ant-Man in February, Guardians of the Galaxy in May, the Marvels in July, and Blade in November. That was just movies. Then we had Secret Invasion coming out in Disney Plus, the Echo series, Loki Season 2, Ironheart, and Agatha Coven of Chaos was projected for winter 2023 or early 2024. That is so many projects. It is way too much. It's very saturated, and it is causing superhero fatigue. The most successful franchises and movies individually and as groups have been Marvel movies for a long time now. But DC's creating movies. You have The Boys on Amazon Plus. You have different type of creations of cartoons, animation, all comic book based. And it is starting to slow down as far as excitement goes. So Marvel attempting to release 9 projects in 2023 is unnecessary. And I still feel the 7 that we're currently scheduled based off of this report to get is too many. But perhaps they're going to start weaning them down instead of just going, okay, 3 projects, and we're going to spread it out for that long. Because they do have a plan. They have actors who need to remain a certain age for the plan that they currently have in motion. Jonathan Majors probably can't be 65 by the time Secret Wars finally comes out, and with as big as Secret Wars is, multiple different universes, multiple different groups. You have the cosmic side, you have the Street Fighters, you have the mythical side, you have this horror dark monster side of the MCU. All of these different groups that need to have their story told and explained in order to create a full story requires a lot of projects. And if Marvel says we're going to do 2 or 3 projects a year, well, all of a sudden, we're several years, decades almost, away from getting to Secret Wars, which is really where everybody's going to start getting the most excited. Phase 4, although definitely a little lackluster and rushed, wasn't a terrible phase, but people are waiting now for the next endgame, which is going to be Secret Wars, which in a lot of part explains the rush that Marvel and Disney are facing. That, and Disney wants to continue to push out Marvel projects on Disney Plus to help the Disney Plus platform, because Marvel's massive, and everybody knows that. But with that being said, those are the balance breakers. This is where we're having too many projects, but also a time frame that has to be met in order to tell a story for multiple universes and multiple groups. Those multiple groups have multiple variants, and they all are going to be intertwining and creating a story. So if you want to go bigger than Infinity War, this is the pathway to it. But the problem also is it's 2023. Kids, and even many adults now, do not have the attention span required to appreciate the art that is being created. And I see that. A lot of people who complain about, oh, this show is boring or this story isn't any good. I look back to some of the projects we got during Phase 1, the original Thor, even the original Captain America. They weren't the greatest movies of all time. They just led to something extremely fun and very exciting. But for me, to see this kind of new idea where everything needs to be immediate, TikTok, the last 3 seconds, swipe, 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 Tinder, swipe, 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 we don't take a second to appreciate the art around us or what is being created. Mediocre kind of is the idea of what is successful. And that's what's happened with Marvel. They got caught up in all of that. Let's do this. Let's get as much content. Let's put it in. Let's create it. And I do see that starting to be where the cracks are forming for the MCU. They are taking a step back and reanalyzing what they've created and the direction they're heading. And they are making changes. Ideally, however, I would probably like to see 2 movies and 2 Disney Plus projects a year. Maybe 3 movies and 2 Disney Plus projects, or 2 movies and 3 Disney Plus projects. I still think 7 is too many. It's not going to give us enough time in between to digest and then to miss the MCU, because it's just project and then project and then project and then project. And X-Men 97, super cool, but how really relative is that to the MCU? Like with What If? Very cool, but who honestly cares in the big picture? And that's just an honest criticism. Loki Season 2 is going to be really important. Ironheart has now been teased to introduce Mephisto, the Hood. The Marvels has a huge relevance with some multiversal tools, and Secret Invasion is going to show us what the heck Nick Fury has been up to this entire time. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, I don't think we're going to have any issues getting the proper amount of excitement just because of the story that we have. We know what's coming. And Guardians of the Galaxy has become a household name because of these movies and how well they've been put together. So I see Guardians of the Galaxy doing very well regardless of the overall MCU story. People want to know what's going on with the Guardians a lot more than they wanted to know what's going on with Ant-Man. And I mentioned we would talk about Victoria Alonso, who has been working with Marvel since Iron Man 1, way back in the early days. Recently, she has been in charge of the visual effects, and it's even come out from the inside camps of those visual effects teams that she was a bit of a monster to deal with. Now, I don't have any personal knowledge on this. I've never met the woman. However, I will say that Marvel's cleaning up its corners. It wants visual effects to come back. It's cleaning up the edges, the corners, buffing up all the problems. And although at 0 point has it been confirmed she was fired, I presume that they respect her and everything she's done for Marvel enough to allow her to step away. It is very likely, however, that this was not a mutual decision as much as it was Marvel deciding to go find somebody else who can fill the role and the pressure of a high-strung, insanely difficult visual effects job. Now, again, my knowledge on the subject is very minimal, but based off of the information we do have and different interviews that have happened with virtual effects teams, I'm going to go ahead and say that Marvel is cleaning up, and this was part of it. It's time to get some new eyes in there and clean up one of the biggest disappointments, which has been the visual effects. Story writing and rushing projects is also an issue that I hope they take care of, and we're seeing that with some of these delays, which this report explains is pushing everything back at least a little bit while they try to expand on the known universe. Let me know what you think about this in the comments section down below. I shared some pretty honest opinions of what I feel Marvel has been up to, where I feel maybe the audience are at fault, where I feel Marvel's been at fault, and overall, how I feel the ship isn't really sinking as quickly as it may seem. Lots of changes are going to start taking place as we're going to see even more and more pushbacks and delays. That's something I'm hoping to see. I know a lot of people don't want to wait, but that's not a great reflection on society that we have zero patience to wait for anything, which will become better by waiting. But let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you guys so much for watching to the very end of the video. If you haven't already, consider subscribing, turning on that notification bell, and I'll catch all of you guys in the next one right here on Cosmic Culture.